a normal person, really. But there's two risks. One is that they could become addicted, particularly to the morphine-type drugs and the Valium-type drugs. But you're likely to be drowsy. The real danger is if it's given in too high a dose, particularly the morphine-type drugs. That tends to suppress breathing, and if it's given in too high a dose, it will actually stop someone breathing. That in turn can bring on a heart attack. Yes, you could see that sort of combination, but I would expect someone to be closely controlled. I would expect the doses to be very closely controlled.
When this information surfaced, those close to Michael were astonished. Michael's very anti-drugs. I mean, he was very much into healthy living. I mean, he was, he shielded his children, particularly from any. He only made sure they only watched new films, a lot of Disney stuff, and he wouldn't allow them to be witness to any kind of substance taking or that would just. He would have been horrified by that.
I have a message for the medical profession out there through prescribing drugs. As a doctor, you swear the Hippocratic oath to do right by your patient. Over-prescribing and misprescribing, you're ruining people's lives, killing people prematurely. It's not just about the money, you've got to think about your patient.
The doctors should pool their information, and before they get the second dosage, they should be made to go to a doctor and to get a medical clearance to get that dosage again. Make the doctor be a doctor. Don't let him become a drug dealer. The doctors want to be drug dealers when they start.
Just 5 months after Michael Jackson's death, it was back to business for Dr. Conrad Murray as his Texas-based cardiology practice reopened to treat patients. Brian Oxman, the Jackson family lawyer, claimed the pop superstar was terrified of being murdered for his money and his musical empire.
This man owns, 50% of a massive publishing company, and he owns the Beatles rights.
Michael certainly wasn't naive when it came to questions of business or anything to do with the music industry. He was sharp as a razor.
He came back to perform. He didn't come back for a money venture. So, it goes to show that whatever they say about him, I don't think they really know the man.
He knew every step of the way what he was doing, and he took advantage of everybody. You don't die owing $500 million. When he was friends with Paul McCartney, he ended up with the Beatles catalog. When Paul McCartney thought he was going to buy it. And Paul McCartney is a gentleman. But Michael Jackson abused a relationship.
Michael Jackson's sister LaToya claimed the singer was murdered by the shadowy entourage who surrounded him.
When I left the Lansbury Hotel back in March 2009, one of his minders got me off at the station and trying to pressurise me into supplying drugs to Michael. And I did feel quite pressurised and it was very uncomfortable. Some of his minders didn't have his best interests at heart, or perhaps they felt that they should give Michael whatever he wanted, or whatever he thought he wanted.
I don't think Michael's controlled in any way. I think anyone that's ever tried to control Michael, their job probably ended it soon after. And if you think about it, the man fired his dad. What's in the chopping block?
I kind of recognised that if I was to stay friends with Michael for any period of time, I'd very much have to take a back seat. Because I feel that if I'd been more prominent in his life, being seen around with him, I'd been removed. I think if you get too close to Michael, you're removed. Some of the most important people, some of the people that could have helped Michael in his life, and that did have his best interests at heart, were removed from his life. Somebody who I feel could have really, really helped Michael was Grace, Michael's Mary. She was extremely loyal to Michael, and she cared about him. she really, really did. And I feel that it was just a shame that she was let go when she was. Because I think if she had remained in Michael's employment, Michael would be with her today.
Michael Jackson spent the last 2 months of his life rehearsing for a grueling 50-date residency at London's O2 Arena. But behind the scenes, concerns were growing. The first scheduled shows were postponed.
Michael Jackson's announcement of 10 concerts here is certainly akin to the O2 Arena. And if those concerts go well, the expectation is that he'll add many more dates. But questions still remain about whether the Michael Jackson of today can still cut it live on such a big stage.
It's a staggering show. That's what Michael Jackson does. And so therefore you're talking about absolute the top of energy. And he has to be, you know, almost poured into glucose. And that's the only way he's going to get through it.
He's going to be back after all these years. What do you think it's going to be like? Do you think he's going to live up to everyone's expectations?
I don't know. I mean, either way, everyone's just going to be glad to see him back on stage.
I think he's going to be able to cope because he's not as fit as he used to be, is it? How do you know? We got to prepare.
There are conflicting reports as to the true state of Jackson's health in the lead up to the concerts.
Last time I saw Michael, he was at the conference, at the O2, and the world's press is there. You know, they say he looked hard. They say he looked sedated. I would say he looked that he was focused. And they say that he was ill, and then it came out that he was physically fit. He was really in good shape. Michael Jackson weighed correct for his height. He had the best dietitian you can get.
The last time I saw Michael was in March 2009, and to me he did look underweight. He did. He looked a lot thinner than I'd ever seen him before. And I don't think he looked particularly healthy. He just seemed frail to me. I don't think it was reasonable to expect somebody who's 50 to do 50 concerts in 6 months. I just think that that's too hard. He just didn't have enough time to prepare for it, you know? And so much was riding on that, and it put an enormous strain on him, enormous strain. And I just don't think it was very fair on him. And I think, in some respects, it was quite irresponsible. Very irresponsible.
Just the night before he died, Jackson was here at the Staples Centre in LA, rehearsing for his upcoming London show. And by all accounts, it was a pretty energetic performance, running through 10 or 11 songs and dances. After which, Jackson's manager says the singer came up and put his arm around him and told him, "I am so happy. This is really our time."
At these rather less glamorous studios, Jackson had a tough schedule for the last few months. People here who watched him rehearse said he was thin and frail, but he seemed fit.
He was, you know, up to par. He was at his best, and he was ready to come back and just wow us all.
He wanted to come back badly in a great way. He was a perfectionist, so he wanted these concerts to be close to perfection. And that creates stress. That creates anxiety.
At the time of the concert announcement in March 2009, representatives from promoters AEG Live stated that Jackson had passed a 4.5-hour physical examination by independent doctors.
And I just called him aside and said, "Mike, why now?" Okay, and he said to me, "But you know what? My kids are old enough, and I'm still young enough to do what I do. I don't want them to see me, you know, my pride and what I do." They haven't seen me.
He was under a lot of pressure from the promoters. He was worked far too hard. All of these things that come out into the media about Michael being in fantastic health and being as fit as a